Holidays are in the air, and in the spirit of giving, I want to give you something to help you grow your business. It's Daryl Urbanski here, and I'd like to gift you one of my courses for free. Others have paid over $1,000 US, but if you act now, you can get it for free as my thank you for being a member of our audience. To get in, go to bestbusinesscoach.ca/free gift. This offer won't last long and will help make 2019 your best year ever. So please go to bestbusinesscoach.ca/free gift for your end of 2018 treat. Invest a few minutes in yourself. Your only risk is missing out if you don't get it. So go to bestbusinesscoach.ca/free gift and have a happy holiday season. Hi, I'm Daryl Urbanski and welcome to the Best Business Podcast. My mission is to help create 200 new multi-millionaire business owners. How? You'll do better when you know better. In my interviews, you'll hear from self-made millionaires, seven-figure business owners, authors, and world-class experts sharing how they did it so you can too without experiencing the same obstacles they did. Now, if you like this interview, please share it with a friend you think will benefit. They'll appreciate it, and I will as well. You can also connect with me on social media. Look for Daryl Urbanski, D-A-R-Y-L, Urban Ski, U-R-B-A-N-S-K-I, and add me so we can be friends. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy what I've prepared for you right here, right now. Hello everyone, thank you for joining us. My name is Daryl Urbanski, your host as always, and today we are joined for our second time with Dr. Nadia Brown. And Nadia is an authentic, bold champion for women business owners and those women who desire to become business owners. She is the founder of Doyenne Leadership Institute LLC. Through her coaching and workshops, she helps women break through the glass ceilings they encounter in business by helping them build profitable and sustainable businesses. When it comes to sales, women come to her timid and shaky about going after the money. They leave her strategic, strong, emboldened, and most importantly, paid. She is the author of Leading Like a Lady: How to Shatter Your Inner Glass Ceiling and lives with her husband Toby in Phoenix, Arizona. So I've asked her to join us and come back here today because a lot of this is real pertinent and it's very important stuff for us to address, whether you're a man or a woman. It's that inner glass ceiling. I think that's a really important thing that a lot of people underestimate. Just that how often we self-sabotage, how often we limit ourselves. So Nadia, I'm excited for this call and thank you so much for joining us. How are you doing?
I am well. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, we almost weren't able to do this. I'm in the Philippines. The power was out for like 12 hours and it came on like just when we were supposed to do the interview. It was like the world knew. So we're like, yay, let's hop on and get this party started. So now, has anything really changed? Well, this is our second interview. The first interview, we talked about your history and how you got started. What have you been dealing with a lot of your clients right now? What's kind of the trending topics that you're seeing as far as when it comes to entrepreneurship?
Oh my gosh. Well, one of the things is as the sales agency continues to grow, I'm seeing a lot more folks asking questions around outsourcing their sales support, building their own sales teams. So those are a lot of the conversations I'm having with clients now.
Right, because that's the name of the game. And that's often where a lot of businesses struggle, is in scaling sales. They might have one really good sales rep, but when they hire a fleet of people to sell for them, they don't know how to train them or they don't have proper processes in place. What are some of the big hangups that you're seeing?
One is trust. A lot of entrepreneurs struggle with actually delegating it and letting it go. So even when they hire someone, the person's like, hello, put me in the game, please.
Got it. So what do you mean by that? Like they aren't willing to spend the money to get the leads for the sales rep, or like how do they expect the sales rep to just kind of do their own thing and magically have money appear? Or
I think it's a little bit of the magic, it's like, well, you're here, but I think a big piece of it, especially as an entrepreneur has grown their business to a certain point, it's like, well, what am I doing? Will this person be able to get the same results that I've been able to get with building my business? So I think that's a big piece, as well as are they going to follow my processes and take care of prospects and clients the same way that I would?
So anyone listening to this, I think this is a really important point, simply because I know that one of my first mentors, millionaire mentors that I ever had, he said, Daryl, you're going to have to understand that everyone is going to be a beta version of you. No one will be you. And they're always going to do it as a beta version. So the best you can do is have processes and training systems in place and benchmarks and manage by objective, not so much how they get it. Manage by results. These are the results I'm looking for. how you do it, how you get there is kind of up to you. Is that something you would prescribe for a sales team, or is that very much the wrong way to go about it?
No, I agree. I think that, a part of sales is building that relationship,
Mm-hmm.
and really encouraging sales reps to bring their personalities to the table and share their story and their experiences when they're having conversations with prospects. And obviously, there's a way to do that in terms of how the conversation flows. But I think it's really difficult if, I'm doing sales for Daryl and I'm trying to be Daryl. I'm not Daryl, you know what I
Right.
mean? So I still need to be able to be me, but in such a way that is going to obviously uphold that standard for that company and yield the results that the business owner is looking for.
So when it comes to one of the things I know that a lot of business owners are going to be wondering about is like, how do you teach someone to close?
It's really interesting. So I think one of the things though is one, identifying the type of salesperson you need. Some people, they just need someone to kind of set it up for them and they can come in and close. Others are just like, just you manage the relationship and close. One thing that I do when I work with sales teams is to actually help them write, or I write it out for them, is their conversation guide. So I show them how to structure the sales conversation so that it leads to a natural close. And then what happens when, because a lot of entrepreneurs sometimes just don't even ask for the sale. Like that's one of the basic ones. Remember to ask for the sale. And then when you state the investment, be quiet. Like if you don't learn anything else, those two are major.
Mm-hmm. 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 I'm writing this down. As I always encourage my listeners, hopefully you have a pen and paper. You said something that you just brushed over really quickly, and I think this is a really important point. A really important part. You talked about having a conversation guide. So this is like a structured template where therefore it's not like a conversation someone's having just willy-nilly. And you said that it leads to a natural close. And I love that. I love that so much because one of the things that I feel like helps so much is like asking questions is such an important part of any sort of sales process where it's not about the sales rep. It's about, and forgive me because you're the sales professional here, but it's often letting people lead themselves to their own conclusions, asking the right types of questions where the need for your product or service is really identified in, like, it's not what you say, it's what a prospect hears. So, and then depending on how complicated the sale is, if there's multiple parties involved, if you're trying to sell to some of the listeners here, maybe they're trying to sell to an enterprise, you might meet with one rep, but you're relying on that one rep to go and speak to the rest of the team and pitch your idea to them. So you really need to use questions to help bring out the most, like the best things for that person, because there's no way you're going to guess them all, right? And so I love this, that how you said have a conversation guide, so a structured flow to a conversation, which leads to a natural close. And I think that that's so important because it'll either lead to a natural close or it'll lead to, you know what, maybe this product or this service isn't right for you. Based on the way you've answered your questions, this maybe, this maybe might not be a good fit, which comes back to the trust, which I think you're talking about was between the entrepreneur and the sales reps, but integrity and trust in business in general are super important. So, and then shutting up after you mentioned the price. Is that really tough? Like why? Like, yeah.
Oh my gosh, you will not. So one of the things that I get to do, Daryl, is I do sales call audits. So I have clients that send me recordings of their sales calls. You would not believe. Yeah, it's that hard sometimes for some people. They may, if they state the investment. So first I got to get them to ask for the sale, and then I need them to just be quiet while that person decides how they want to move forward.
Right. Ask for the sale, be quiet. Right. Because that's someone's got to figure out their own thing. And I know there's the tendency to fill the void of the conversation. So any tips for that? Like,
oh yeah. The one is, remember to be quiet. I don't care where you have to put the reminders. If you do, because a lot of our conversations are over the phone, put your phone on mute, take a sip of water. Like you just have to learn to deal with the discomfort. Because I have been on calls where that silence felt like it was like 10 minutes. Like it was a long silence. But I've also learned through experience that a lot of times that person is really working through how to make it work. And if we jump in because of our own insecurities, then it completely jacks it up. So it's important that whatever technique works for you to just be quiet and let them work through it.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. So, and of course, this is probably one of those things like, doing push-ups where there's different depths of knowledge, I should say. So, I don't know why I jumped from push-ups at, but it's where knowledge comes with experience, right? So in the beginning, you're just gonna have to lose, and that's where a lot of business owners listening to this, if you need a team, you like to grow your business. I just recently onboarded a few people because I realized I was getting stuck in weeds myself because I know how to do all this stuff, but I was not meeting the deadlines that I had set for certain things, and it was because I gone back to trying to do everything not everything, but done a lot of it myself. And now the mission is get everything off my plate. Like, don't do anything, Daryl, other than lead the team. Like, that's it. Be the conductor. And that's, multiple streams of income will come from multiple teams of income. So you really have to put your faith in other people, and there's upsets that come with that, and it's part of the name of the game. There's staff is a huge pain point for a lot of business owners. They've got unreliable staff or entitled feeling staff and blah 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 blah. And you do your best with software and tools that you can, but at the end of the day, all a company is a group of people solving the pain of another group of people. It's all people based. There's not going to be some zeros in one environment where you're not going to have to interact with anybody. And if you don't duplicate yourself, if you don't find a way to duplicate yourself and replace even the people you're hiring, you're at risk. If you get hit by a bus, if you get hit by a van, if your power goes out and you're not able to work, what's going to happen? One's the worst number in business. And so you have to, it's almost like as much as people like save for retirement, invest in their future for retirement, you almost need to invest in the people that will become part of your team to help run your business for you. So I think that's really, really powerful. So there's a couple of issues that tend to happen, and I don't know, I don't want to step outside the swim lane, but when it comes to generating leads for a sales team, how do you know when you're ready to hire someone as a sales rep? Like, do you have to have some sort of standards of, like, because I know another issue that a lot of people have with sales teams is they hire someone, but then they can't keep them busy. They don't have enough leads for them, or there's mismatched expectations. I know another scenario where there was a sales agency and they had expected a full calendar of appointments set, but it was sort of unrealistic based on the situation to have just that they could just show up and sit down with qualified prospects all day. Like, they weren't going to have to do any prospecting. Is there any guidelines for navigating that for someone that maybe isn't super savvy in it?
Yeah, I think first is just understanding your business, understanding the ebbs and flows. Some of the clients I support, they have set launches. So I know that there are certain times of the year where I'm super busy and other times where I'm not as busy. Mm-hmm. I think the other piece to that too is, how do you generate leads? Are you good at it? Not everyone has a good process in place right now that's good for generating leads. Mm-hmm. So you may need to bring someone on your team who has that expertise, and they're also good at being able to go out and hunt for leads and identify them. And then, if they can close them, great. If not, they can always hand them off to someone else who's a closer. Mm-hmm. So I think it's really understanding your business model. I personally have a bias that you as an entrepreneur, as the business owner, needs to know how to sell your products. Mm-hmm. And so once your business gets to a certain level, it's like, okay, I'm busy dealing with, like you said, leading the company, being the visionary of the company. If you're a coach, working with my actual clients, and you don't want to get caught up in that cycle of feast or famine. So that's a great time to bring on a sales team and bring on some support so that you always have a full client roster.
Mm-hmm. You hit such an important point there. It's not even a bias. It's really really, really important. The business owner must know how to sell their own product or service. This point has been reiterated by more than just you, other guests as well, that is such an important key factor, that the business owner needs to be in tune with what their prospect needs, wants, and be able to have that conversation and really help sell it, because they, like you said, if they're going to be the leader and all that, like, it's so important. It's so important, because otherwise they're really just looking to delegate responsibility in a way that you can't in business. Business is going to hold you so accountable to finances. I mean, most people can't balance their own pocket budget. Imagine if you had to balance your company's budget and your staff's budget, because they're often coming to hit you up for advances, or they need some money or whatever. I mean, it's just a fact of life, right? So it's the same way that this was such an important thing. The business owner must know how to sell their own product or service. Can you explain why you're biased that way? Why you said that?
Yes, one is I receive, a lot of times when people find out that my agency will has the capability of doing outsourced sales, I get some of those folks who are afraid to sell, and I'm like, no, that's not what we're here to do.
Right.
To manage that for you. The other thing is when you bring someone on, part of what you're training them to be on the lookout for is who's a good fit. So I love when you talked about like understanding your client or your prospect and their needs and what it is that they're looking for, but also who's a good fit for your company so that they're empowered if they talk to someone who's not a good fit to say, you know what, you're not a good fit for whatever it is that we have going on in this company. And so it's really important that then you as a business owner can model it, but then you're not held hostage. So should anything, like you said, go wrong and you need to be able to step in to, if you lose a person or someone gets sick or whatever happens, that you can step in and still carry that until you're able to replace that person.
Yeah, I made that mistake once. I tried to hire some girls out of California, and I didn't know how to sell my product or service. This is years ago now. Not to say that I've maybe perfected everything now, but it was such an issue because, again, like, you're the one that's supposed to be training, you're the one that's supposed to be leading the charge. You should know what the quality of the leads are coming in. Like, as a business owner, you can't get it. You need to know all the ins and outs of every area of your business. You really do. It may not have to be your superpower, but you have to be able to step in and at least tread water. And that's part of why it's so important. I mean, if business was a sport, the franchise player, the player that everyone, like the famous player, the Kobe Bryant, the Michael Jordan, that is the rainmaker, the person who can bring in leads and sales, because otherwise everyone else is sitting around twiddling their thumbs. And there's different philosophies. There's some people like Elon Musk or Greg Glassman, so Elon from SpaceX and Tesla and Greg Glassman from CrossFit, that are like, they're not big fans of marketing. They're product people. And so in every business, you need a product person, you need a marketing and sales person, and you need a finance and operations person. And typically, when someone's all about one thing, they think that it's more important than the other areas. And you need all three areas. But the reality is, if you can't do something, like even Elon and Greg Glassman, these guys, they were like sleepers for 20 years. And then, they get notoriety over all those years. If you want to have a faster path to success, you could have the business graveyard is littered with world-class products and services nobody knew about. Yep. And that's where you have to be able to make the rain. You have to be able to keep your staff busy. That's part of why you need the team. Because there's, you're putting a group of people. The idea is you're putting together a group of people, imagine if you're building a car wash, like you invest all this time, energy, and money to set up this automated car wash. So now this thing is capable of cleaning cars, but it's not doing anyone any good if it's sitting there not being busy. So your job as a business owner is to get people lined up all day, every day to go through the car wash, and if it's a business, if it's a dentist office, I mean, these people want to make money. Everyone wants to make money for sitting around doing nothing. But the reality is these people need reliable work. If they're parents in any way, shape, or form, if they've got sick parents, if they've got kids or they have sick parents, they need regular income. They need work to do. They're not just going to try to sit around, twiddle their thumbs and make money. And so, all right, you train them up, you know how to deliver this product or service. But now what, right? Like they're just hanging out waiting. Like that's where you got to make it rain. So that's why this isn't something you can just abdicate to somebody else. Go get a job and go work for someone who can make it rain if you're not willing to figure that out. And that's a harsh statement, but I think it just comes back to that. You have to, this is the real game. The product or service, it can be easy to subcontract that out. You still need to deliver quality products or services, but it's that kills people. It's the ability to bring people. Sorry, I'm on a soapbox. I better get off. It's your interview, not mine. But it's that business owner knowing how to sell their products or services. I get that all the time. Hey man, if you can come in and sell my stuff, I'll give you 20% of everything you sell. Like, okay, that's great, but I need, I'm not in your business. I don't know the pain points. I don't know, you got to tell me that stuff. I'm a dude. I don't buy what women over 50 buy, with like it's through PayPal. What was the one? I had one client, they used like PayPal had like a credit program, and that's almost like 80% of their sales came through like I don't know how that PayPal program works and why it's better, and like you just got to be able to break that down for people. If you can give me a proven sales process, I can go get you another 1,000 sales done. You know, but if you can't even sell yourself out of a paper bag, your product, I know why you think it's so great, but can you convince somebody else it's that great? You know,
Absolutely.
So, all right. So,
the other thing I'll add to that too, Daryl, is that good salespeople want to sell. Like they don't want to be sitting around doing nothing. They want to be in conversation and closing deals. Like that's where they shine. And so when you have someone like that on your team, that type of resource, do whatever you can to generate those qualified leads for them, because that makes them happy. And of course, it helps your business too.
Yep. Now, can we talk about lead quality a little bit? Because there's like it's like the yin yang, where sometimes one side's bigger than the other, you know, but marketing and sales, like, hey, the leads are garbage. No, the leads aren't garbage. You're not closing. Like I even just talked to a friend about this. They worked with a big name guru, or this guy is a sales guru, big name, old guy. Guy's been in the game, like a thought leader for like forever. I mean, he's ancient. Like he's been in it like the 1900s, you know, like the early 1900s. And he said he was generating all these leads for this guy's, you know, $5,000 program. Like we'll say 50, 60, 70, 80 leads. And the sales reps they had couldn't close a single deal. And they're like, this dude, I'm just keep names out, but like, this dude has been around for like 60 years as a sales expert. You can't sell his 5K sales training program. Like, what is going on? And so there's this battle of leads versus lead quality. Can you speak to that at all? Like, I don't know if there's a way to help validate the quality of the leads. You know, when the quality goes up, the flow tends to go down because you're getting more details, more like where yeah.
I feel you. I've been there. Oh my gosh, have I been there? I think, you know, there are processes that you can put in place, like you said, as you're looking to improve lead quality. So a lot of times you may see clients that'll add like an assessment or an application process that they kind of weed people out through that process. And then you're looking for certain questions, the way they respond, so that you're talking to, the concept is to talk to more highly qualified leads. I've seen it where teams just leave it wide open. Anybody that wants to say yes or have a conversation can. Those aren't always qualified leads. I like to call a qualified lead, obviously, someone that fits that is in need of that, whatever that avatar, if you will, is for that product or service. But also, it's a big timing thing. Are they at a place where they're ready to do the work? Because a lot of times you work with coaches and it's not all done for you. Like you don't get to lay on a leather couch, and there's some work that you have to do, and also have the resources or are willing to find the resources. To me, that's a qualified lead. When I'm in a conversation with someone like that, then we can move them to a buying decision, an affirmative one, like where you're like, yes, let's do it. And I've seen sometimes it's just like, no, this person is not a good fit. Where on earth did they, like, they're not qualified. Like they just don't even fit. For example, I spoke to a woman just yesterday for one of my clients. We had a massive language barrier, and he teaches people about speaking and how to structure their signature talks and how to get on more stages. And I'm like, there's a massive language barrier in that English was not her first language. And then the other thing was she wasn't qualified because he wants to work with people who know what they're selling. So he's not a business coach. His focus is on people that want to get on more stages to get in front of more of their ideal clients. But the kicker is they need to know who their ideal client is and what it is that they're selling. She didn't know that. So then in the conversation, I was like, you're not ready for what we have to offer, because she just wasn't. She just wasn't a qualified lead. So I think it's really getting clear in your marketing, and when you're opening it up, like, here's who I'm looking for, whether it's in the copy, when you're speaking from a stage, or even in the application process, like really taking people through that process to get really clear on who should even be granted a conversation with your sales team.
And a quick fix for anyone that's, if you know, like Generating a lead is important because it gives you permission to communicate and contact that lead, and it gives you some sort of conversation focus point. So if I generated a lead around giving a quote for something, if I generate a lead because they've requested a white paper or an ebook or something like that, typically there's a focal point of the conversation, even if it's been a sweepstakes, like a giveaway. What are you giving away? That person has an interest in the category. You know, if you're giving away free movie tickets, it's different than if you're giving away, you know, a free tropical cruise vacation. Like, so there's a focal point for the conversation, and once you get the conversation going, now you can try to qualify this person. And so generating leads can be different than qualifying, and those are good. It's good to think of two stages: opening the sale and closing the sale. And in opening the sale, it's about gathering a pool, imagine that you're in a marketplace, you're trying to get, you know, even if you're a busker or something, you're trying to get a crowd around you, and that's the opening the sale. You're trying to collect a group of people to get their attention. And then the closing the sale part, it's weeding those people out for, like, exactly what Nadia was saying, the right timing of the issue, that they can afford to pay it, all these sorts of things. And that's where a lot of people are liking to use webinars. But where it's happening now, what I've seen a lot of now, is if anyone does use webinars for this, is webinars aren't necessarily good on the front end. Use something else that's cheaper and you can get more leads with versus a webinar. And then use the webinar to qualify people around that pain point. And in the beginning, you might not even be ready for a webinar. You might just be needing to get people on the phone and have 100 phone conversations before you can get dialed in on what you need to do. And that's kind of the work that people maybe don't want to do, but that's the work it's going to take to get the messaging dialed in and get familiar. So a major killer for a lot of businesses, and I've not only experienced this, but I've seen it. You know, like we said, a business, all a company is a group of people solving the pain of another group of people, either via product or service. One of the major killers is your group of people are sitting by themselves, you know, like off the side of the playground, so to speak, you know, eating their lunches together, not talking about anybody, not interacting with anybody. They actually need to be in the middle of the cafeteria. They need to be talking to everybody. Like, they have to be where the people are. And that's a huge thing. That's one of the reasons why surveys have been really popular for trying to generate leads, surveys and quizzes, because it brings to light two parts of this problem. One, can you get 100 people to fill out your survey? If you can't, how are you supposed to get 100 customers? And so that, like, it really gets people focused on, like, a major, and it's easy to instead focus on, you know, your logo or your product, all this stuff. But can you get 100 people to fill out a survey on your topic? No? Then where are you going to get those, right? Like that, you need to figure that out. That's where's the lifeblood of traffic going to come from, you know, that you can feed on your business. And then the second part is, in the survey, you kind of can get to learn which questions matter, which ones don't, and what people need. So I think that so there's not really a golden rule, so to speak, in lead quality. You know, you can just start off with name and email, or just phone number, and then something you have to work out with your sales team, which again, I think could be helped by having an owner who knows how to sell their own product or service. Do you have any tips for anyone that's afraid of sales?
My tip is to take exactly what you just said about having 100 conversations. I tell people, when you're afraid of sales and you're still in that space, to just have 100 conversations and go after 100 no's. Because you, like you said, you learn so much. One, you build up the muscle to hear and no. Two, you learn so much value from just having the conversations, what to say, what's a pain point. How does your ideal client actually describe their problem versus how you describe their problem? And you just you work through all the kinks of having really awkward conversations. Like, after a while, you just get really good at it. You get the practice. But a lot of times when I've had clients do that, they get clients. So then they're just really excited that they took on the challenge. Like, oh, wait, this actually works. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's in fact, we should almost challenge all the listeners right now. In the next 30 days, try to have 100 conversations with 100 prospects. Because if you can do that, even if you only get 20 sales, or even if you only get 5 sales, you will learn so much about what you're doing. And here's the thing, is that nothing will convert as well as a face-to-face, kneecap-to-kneecap conversation. right? Everything else is going to be a percent of that. If you can close 2 out of 10 face-to-face, kneecap to kneecap, you're going to close way less via webinar or a teleseminar or over the phone or over a sales letter or a video sales letter or whatever these things, even from stage. Nothing will convert as well as a one-on-one face-to-face conversation, right? The second best thing is a one-on-one, face-to-face kind of phone conversation. Like everything is a regression from that most intimate moment, like belly to belly.
Yep.
And so I think that that's a really, really good thing. So you can make a web page and send people there, but you're not going to learn how to sell the product or service as well as if you talk to people. I think that's really important. I love that. That should become a fundamental for every business owner listening here. And even if they've already been in business for a while, it'd probably be worthwhile for you to get on the phone with 100 people and just when was the last time you did that?
Yeah. Game changer.
Yeah.
Total game changer.
Well,
that was how I overcame my fear of sales. I just started having lots of conversations.
Right. And so did you find that you went through a progression? Like in the beginning it was you were nervous about a certain thing, and then after it was how did it evolve for you?
Oh my gosh. First of all, I was a hot mess, Daryl. All the mistakes I talk about with people, I was that person. I was afraid to ask for the money. I would talk myself down. I'm like, oh, well, it's $5,000, but for you, I'll do it for $2,500 or whatever ridiculous price, right? I just went through all of that. And then, it affected my business so much until it was like, you know what, my business is going to go under. So I was at that place where you were like, get a job or figure it out. I was there. And then when I just took the challenge on, I had the opportunity to actually do sales for another team, but that just put me in conversation. That's all I did for days on end was talk to people day after day after day. And I realized one day I was like, oh my gosh, this is so easy. This is so much fun. It's just a conversation. Like I'm just talking to regular people. And those that are ready and are a good fit, they're saying yes, and I'm making money. So it was that process, but the biggest thing was to have the conversations.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them, like you said, in a short amount of time. So I was able to just spend days, like some days, 8 hours, literally. And I live on the West Coast in the States, so I would be up East Coast time. So that would mean like my days might start at 5 a.m. my time, and I would just do sales calls all day.
Right. Yeah, but man, that's just for a lot of people, I mean, in a lot of people's businesses, that would be transformative. And and here's the next caveat. I know I'm going to hear this from some people, but they're going to oh, but my price point, it's it's not enough that it's worth me getting on the phone. I'm only selling a blank dollar item. My items are only $10. Well, you have to think about this here. For anyone that's about to come up with that objection, I want you to understand a metric called lifetime customer value. And so this is where if you're selling a one-off $10 product, is that first of all, you need to be in a high volume market space. You need to be in the city center. If you're selling watermelons, and you better be in a really busy spot, and you need to be selling watermelon all day, every day. So, so you could bang out 100 conversations in a day or two. You need to be moving that kind of volume. And the second thing is, if you're not, it's in that sort of place, then you're probably going to survive on repeat business or having people come back and buy multiple things. You might find out that there might be a bundle or a package. You just don't know what's going to emerge when you talk to people, how it's going to adjust your offer, because your business isn't about what you want to do. It's about what the people want and need. And that's why it's so important to get on the phone and talk to these people. In fact, I'm already making plans to get on the phone with more people myself, because no matter how long you've been in business, it's things change, even if you were a car salesperson or, you're Ford, the CEO of Ford could probably learn a lot by getting on the phone and talking to people about cars, because Tesla's kind of changed the game about things, right? People want new things now. Back in what was it, the 50s, you wanted this massive gas guzzler. Right now you don't. It's the total opposite. So it's just such an important, valuable thing. And so lifetime customer value can help you justify why you're getting on the phone. You're not just making a $50 sale. That person might be a subscriber that'll be there for a year. And so, 12 months, that's $600. So that's a $600 conversation. It's not a $50 conversation. And that's where you have to understand the real value of a client or customer. And even on top of that, there are lots of great tools that can help automate sales for people. But if it's garbage in, garbage out. If you have a terrible sale, even on that, If you are like, well, we sell primarily by our website or whatever, and a lot of our listeners are online, not all of them, but if you, even if you want to go that route, you need to figure out what the conversation is, face to face, kneecap to kneecap, person to person first, because that's what you're going to need to put on your web page. That's what you're going to need to make in your talk about in your webinar. That's what you're going to make your stage presentation about. Like that's, it's going to go in your teleseminar. That's what all of this stuff is going to be based off of, which again comes back to the owner being able to sell their own thing, and not
Absolutely.
and not
Amen.
even like,
hallelujah.
yeah, well, and not even just like a little bit. Sorry, I'm on the soapbox, but like being really clear about it. And maybe like you said before, there's different types of people. Like you mentioned before, that there's a girl that didn't really know what her product was, and another one that had like a language issue. Those may not be the client, his main thrust of his business. But if
Right.
you find that you're having a lot of conversations with people like that, maybe you could put together a beta program. Maybe you could refer someone and get a referral fee, because if you paid for that lead anyways, you might as well make something off of them.
Yes.
So if you get them on the phone and you can't sell them your $5,000 package, well, you know what? Buddy over here has got a $500 course or a $2,000 package, and they'll help you with XYZ. Let me do the introduction, and you pass off that warm lead, and you already know the pain points. You give them the sale with a bow on top. You could very easily ask for a percent of that, but you won't find that stuff out if you're not talking to people. So,
Right.
yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. That's really powerful. So now let's talk about, how do you create a conversation guide for people? How does someone come up? Is there a place to start? If someone's never got one going, or maybe they've have one and they're not sure if it's, maybe they need to revamp things and rebuild from scratch.
Absolutely. One is just having a powerful introduction that sets the stage for how the conversation will go, so that it puts your prospect at ease. They're not, because, they're thinking about, well, what's going to happen? Are they going to ask me for a sale? Or, when are they going to ask? Like, whatever. Just let them know how the conversation is going to go. And then have questions, a lot of just questions, options. This is also a great way to really refine your process when you're having those 100 conversations, because you'll learn which questions really help you to get to the problem, the root of the problem, and really understand how you can help that person. Because you may go into the conversation thinking that you're going to do one thing, but there may be some other things that need to take place, or they may be a better fit for even your higher price program. Like, you may go in thinking they're your $5,000 client, they might be your $25,000 or higher client, right? So really having those questions in place to generate the conversation and get them to open up, because when you put prospects at ease, they will tell you a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to be willing to listen. So having a lot of questions, knowing your products and services inside and out, and not just how they work, but the transformation that they provide. Because you have to answer the question for that prospect, what's in it for me? And they don't really care what the process is going to look like until they know that you can help them get the transformation that they're looking for. So those are really key pieces. And then, of course, your invitation, asking for the sale, understanding to be quiet, but then also, what are some common objections that you come up against? What are those questions that clients or prospects may ask because they need to better understand, is this right for them? And so just taking a moment to think through those. Is it a money objection? Is it a time objection? Is it whatever? Thinking through what those might be. What would you say in response to them? So some of that you can address before you even ask for the sale, but of course you'll have that section of the conversation where you'll be able to answer any of their questions or objections to then move it to a close.
I think that's really important. And I think you hit all of some really important topics. So the introduction gets their attention. And like you said, it kind of sets the pace for the conversation. And I like it because it's, like you said, it puts them at ease. I mean, people get telemarketed all the time, right? So it's like that introduction, that first 5 seconds guarantees whether you're going to get another 30 seconds or a couple of minutes or not. So that has to be done well. conversations, like you said, maybe start with really easy questions first, just to kind of get the ball rolling. People probably will be still a little standoffish, perhaps at the beginning. So you get the right questions in the right order, you can get them kind of to open up, make the conversation kind of fun and interesting for them. And now they get relaxed, they're willing to open up, tell you more. I want to encourage everyone to think about something that in the process you just mentioned. None of this was about pulling out a club and beating someone over the head and taking money from them, right?
Right.
That wasn't what this was. This was it's not a robbery. It's not a robbery. It's supposed to create a win-win-win relationship. And so that's really, again, you have to acknowledge that kind of like a tree in a forest. If you're a mango tree in the forest, not everyone's going to eat your fruit, but you're trying to make the best mangoes possible. So when someone comes along that does eat mangoes, they're going to go crazy for yours versus some other trees, because your mango seed has your seed in it that'll help you go, get your tree, your saplings planted somewhere else. I think that's really important. Like, everybody wants to do business with everybody, and you have to understand some of this is based on market research. You will become more attractive by doing what you do better and having clear conversations with people. So, and I like how you invitation to buy. You didn't ask them to buy, but you invited them. And I think they say, invite people to try, not buy. Invite them to try. Well, let's do this. Let's do this. It's a 6-month thing, but let's just get the first part going. Let's get the first payment in. Let's take the first step. It's not so scary. Let's just, why don't you try it out? I think that's a really nice way to put it.
Oh yeah, you will not believe the number of conversations I have with just getting people to get over their nerves and their fear of taking that next step. And sometimes it sounds like it's a money thing or a time thing, but the crux of it is, I'm nervous about doing this. I'm nervous about, will I do the work? Will I show up? Will it work for me this time, or whatever the case may be? So I have quite a few of those conversations. I'm like, it's okay. Like you said, let's just get through this first step. And then once they get to that point, they're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. But, I can't let it, like you said earlier, it's not about me. So if I took it personally or I made it about me, then I would lose people. But I just remind them, this is what you said you wanted. Here's what we're going to do. Don't worry. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. I won't leave you hanging, that kind of thing. And just reassuring them that, taking that first step, let's just get through the first call. It's like, oh my goodness. Yep. Then you'll start to really see those transitions and that transformation. Is really awesome.
Yeah, stern but loving parent.
Yes.
And that's why the questions are so important at the beginning, because you can save a lot of time by disqualifying people. Like, that's the thing, is as much as you want to get a sale, you also want to stop wasting your time on people that aren't ready. And so you're going to do that with the questions in the beginning, because like you said, when you got the right person and you have the right offer for them and it's the right timing and they can afford it, there's a critical moment there. It's like, it's an intimate thing. It's like, there's the moment where it's, I always say the two most difficult human interactions is to get someone to give you their money and get someone to have sex with you, because there's like a high degree of trust that goes into both interactions. People will flatter you all day long. People will like look at your thing, but when there's a commitment involved, right? Some sort of emotional and personal life commitment. I feel like those are kind of two epic moments. There might be others, but generally speaking, that people get, it's like at the same scale. And we all know people that are both easy with both, but most people aren't, right? Most people are very conservative, or at least intentional with these things. There's a lot of ramifications that can happen from both. And so you have to understand that when everything is, right, people in the moment, sometimes they're like, am I really in the moment? Is this really, is everything real? Am I rushing ahead? And if you're going to spend all that time talking to people, again, you don't want to work so hard to get someone there and have it be a mismatch. So the question part at the beginning is really important. Now you have a I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm fumbling over my words. You have you review people's sales guides or conversation guides. Isn't that accurate? You've got like a process that you put people through?
Yes, I do, and I love it. So in addition to doing the audits, I can review your guide. And I call them conversation guides because no one likes scripts. Like they do, the guide allows you to be you and be free. But yeah, so if people head over to convoguidereview.com, that's convo, short for conversation, guidereview.com, they can send in their conversation guides and I'll review them. they need to use for your community, Daryl. They have to use your name, though, as a special code.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, go ahead. So put in Daryl, my Daryl, but Darryl or Darrell will all probably work anyways. And really what matters is to get someone to take a look at it, because you might be so close to it. It could be really important to just have a quick review and a quick way to tweak it. That one will save your time, because you might be asking a question 5 minutes into the conversation that might be okay to ask right away. And so definitely go check it out. So what was it? It was Convo Guide Review.com. That's right. ConvoGuideReview.com. Go there, check it out, put in Daryl, get your conversation guide reviewed. Now, are there any other big mistakes that you see a lot of your clients making that prevent them, or on the flip side of that, habits that some of your most successful clients have?
One is the follow-up. There's the follow-up, because just because people didn't say yes today doesn't mean they won't say yes tomorrow or at some point in the future. So what is your nurture, relationship building, whatever you want to call it, process that you have in place? And 2 is asking for referrals. Like, people who've had an amazing experience with you, a lot of times you hear the saying, birds of a feather flock together. Like, how many of them also know amazing potential clients for you? And so remember to ask for referrals and have a process in place for that too, whether you automate it and however you decide to reward people for that. I think those are really 2 key pieces that a lot of times we forget and overlook in business.
So yes, people don't buy when you're ready to sell. They buy when the timing is right for them. So that's where autoresponders, and a lot of people may or may not have been aware of this, but autoresponders, in my personal opinion, are one of the most incredible breakthroughs for a business in the business world. And it's such a simple tool. And I don't mean the auto reply function where, you're on vacation, and so when you get an email, it spits one back saying, hey, I'll be back on the 27th. Not those out of office replies. I'm talking about an autoresponder, email marketing, when you can write a year's worth of emails and you can have it scheduled to go out every day, every other day, every 5 days, because you really hit the nail on the head. It's not necessarily about trying to sell through the email. It's about staying in touch and building a relationship and just informing the person of what's new with you. I mean, that's kind of what social media is all about. You build a list, and people, that list is your following, and it's your friends and family, right? And then you just update them with what's going on in your life. You jump in from time to time and interact with them on what's going on in their life. That's why that's what's made social media so powerful, is it's allowed you to nurture social relationships at scale, where typically you can only keep 100, 150 people in your head, at any given time. Now you're possible of having thousands of relationships, and you have a digital scrapbook of your interaction with that person. I mean, Facebook even reminds you, right? You and Nadia have been friends for 3 years,
Yep.
Share this and review all your moments together. Like, that's there. And so that's the whole point of this. And so follow-up is so easy to do, but so many people mess it up. But, even if you have it wrong, the emails that you send are better than the emails that you don't send. And so I think that's just a really, really, and there's an autoresponder can go on forever.
Yep.
Not only can it go on forever, there's some people that do ninja things where they'll track whether an email is opened or not. And if the email's not opened, they just send it again like a month or 2 later with a different subject line because they never opened it. So it's not like you even need to write a whole new email. Again, it's about staying in front of the prospect. And, and so like you said, birds of a feather flock together, friends for a reason, friends for a season, friends for life. So this is where having segmented lists are important. The friends for a reason thing is important. So if they came onto your list because of a giveaway, they're your friend for the reason of getting and winning free stuff. So that's typically, you're going to get the best response by talking about that thing. Hey, win this free, get this free in that category, right? Like if you're offering free gun supply, free whatever, clips and I don't even know, magazines and whatever, free scopes for rifles, don't start offering like My Little Pony giveaways, right? Like that's not, you're going to lose them, right? So keep it on point. And friends for a reason, if they came in for an ebook on solving this pain point, this problem, on addressing this issue, keep the conversation on that relevance in your topic. I think that's really important. This call is about sales. If I started talking about, I don't even know what, ballet, I'm probably going to lose people. Some people might be interested because they'd be, why is Daryl talking about, out of just sadistic curiosity. But keep it relevant and follow up, stay in front of them, and then have a call to action. Have a reason why to engage. I think that's a really powerful thing. And I'm beating my drum, but I've been present and I've had experienced it myself. I actually just made $1,000 a month ago off a guy that was a customer 7 years ago. When I had my martial arts school, he was a student, spent about $1,000 with me, and then 7 years later, bought $1,000 business product. You know, and it was like, it was just, I had him on an email list. It was that simple. 7 years later, that's $1,000 I wouldn't have made if I hadn't have built that list.
Yep. And maintain a relationship. Yeah. It's powerful.
It's so powerful. So, and you never know who's listening. That's the opposite. It's not even so much who you know, it's who knows you. And it's a weird thing, because you may not know who's paying attention, who isn't.
Very true. I've had similar experiences where I'm like, you're on my list, and you what? And like you said, you're some of the easiest sales, because when they're ready, just pick up the phone. It's like, hey, this is what I want. Like, oh, okay, great, let's do it. It was years of emails and relationship building. It didn't happen overnight.
That's right. Yes, you really got to be all about it. Whatever it is that you're in, you got to be about that. You'll change, maybe it'll morph and form, but you kind of got to be. That's where having a mission is so important, because the product or service that you're delivering might change, but the mission can stay the same. It's just you're achieving that mission in the same format, and that's a way to have like a transferable list. If you build a list around a topic, that's a way to keep them with you, so to speak. I know a lot of people that'll build a following or a list on a topic, and then they're like, I'm now going to become the world's greatest dating guru, and then it's like, but they built this list off of, something completely unrelated. And so some people stay with them because of who it is, because they're like true fans. But, just have a higher power mission. You're not just in the business of, you don't just sell shoes. You're helping reduce back pain, alleviate stress, and help people show up dressed to impress, and able to be on their feet all day, every day, so they can perform their best and help make this world a better place. It's really easy to try to find more meaning in what seems to be a mundane thing, or even a commodity. And you'll have if you had a shoe store and your mission was to empower people to live better lives, to show up at their best, and that's just through giving them shoes that are going to be comfortable, that they can walk in for hours, or stand on their feet for hours of the day. Like, that's the beginning. But now if you transition to something else, it can still have the same mission. You can get on the phone with someone, hey Sally, hey, yeah, I know that's me, the shoe guy, yeah, but I'm not doing shoes anymore. Right now what I'm doing is I've got a health and fitness thing, and I sold you those high heels with the arch support and all this stuff. Well, guess what? I got something else that's going to make you help you even more. I know you got back pain. This is going to it's the same theme.
Yeah, so, that's good.
So, all right. Is there anything I didn't ask you that I should have asked you? I feel like this has been really like a really meaty call. Is there anything else?
Really yummy. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
No, it's good for me. I enjoy these calls so much. I'm in it to help people live better lives, and reminds me of stuff I need to do. I'm going to do your 100 conversation challenge. I think everyone in this call needs to get on that challenge. And if you're not sure what you're going to say on that call, go to convoguidereview.com and get Nadia to take a look at it before, if you're nervous about hopping on for the 100 calls and not being clear, just get in touch. Get in touch. Say, hey, this is what I'm thinking of talking about. It'll make it easier for you. And then go do those 100 conversations. Doesn't matter what stage of business you're at listening to this. I think your business can only be helped by the business owner. And if you can't do those 100 conversations because there's other things, I can't, I have to do the cleaning, I've got these contracts, and then you now know that you need to build a team, that your business is a bottleneck, and there's always a sacred knowledge bottleneck that prevents businesses from growing. And that's where only one person can do the work or has the knowledge to get the work done, which limits and hits. We did another interview with Liam Martin, who owns timedoctor.com and staff.com, staff.com. Helps enterprises, staff, and they said that at every point, once the business has figured out the sales and the marketing, product development, there are predictable points. Maybe a great interview for people to listen to if they're in this situation, but there are predictable points. It's like 1 to 20 employees, 50 employees, 150 employees, bottlenecks where they hit, where it's because they've developed a sacred knowledge problem where they're not creating the documentation and training programs that they need so they can get more hands, like more oars in the water to row, more hands on deck. So if you can't, that's why I love this challenge so much. Everyone here, next 30 days, have 100 conversations. Even if you're going to get 100 no's, have 100 conversations with your sales prospects. Not 5, not 10, have 100 conversations. That'll help you with your lead gen. It'll help you with your lead quality. It'll help you improve all your sales processes. And if you're unable to do that because you're tied up doing the work, it's going to get your eyes on, hey, how do you get out of doing that work and get an assistant or someone else that can come in and help you so you can have those 100 conversations, because that is where the value is. That's where the most value is talking to the prospects so you can keep adjusting your product or service to fit their need. I think that's great. So 100 conversation challenge, convo guide, guide or guides? Convo guide, singular.
Guide.
Guidereview.com. Right.
No S.
Perfect. And Nadia, was there anything else I didn't ask you that I should have asked you?
Nope. I think we covered it all for today.
That's awesome. So Nadia, thank you so much for coming back and sharing with our audience for a second time. It's an honor and a pleasure, and I always enjoy chatting with you so much. And again, for those listening, you may want to go back and listen to this again with a paper and pen if you didn't already. Just a lot of really great tips here. Fundamental stuff, but I mean, the fundamentals are fundamental for a reason. And virtuosity is doing the common uncommonly well. So if any of this seemed basic to anyone here, are you world class at it? Because if not, then you're already missing something. So. You've reached the end of our interview. Now, first, let me thank you for listening. I appreciate and respect you more than you'll ever know. And now I'd like to ask you a couple of questions. First, what 3 lessons did you just learn? What 3 aha moments just jumped out at you? Second, what can you implement for yourself and your business in the next 24 hours? Third, what can you give to someone else to help you with, or give to them to just do it for you? Whatever it is, remember, taking action is the secret sauce to results. Now, if you think this interview would be helpful for a friend, please give them a link to it. It'll help them and it'll help me too. I'd also like to invite you to help me find out more about the challenges you're facing, your dreams, your goals, and how I can help you overcome what's holding you back. We both do better when we know better, and your success is my success. So please reach out and interact. You can visit our website, bestbusinesscoach.ca for Canada or California, where I'm from and where I'm living. You're welcome to also try out one of our paid programs. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook, and pretty much every other social media channel you can think of. You should also subscribe to the podcast. And if you're enjoying them, please leave us a nice review. It really helps. That's all for now. Once again, thank you. Take care of yourself, and remember, the world needs the best business you can build. And I believe in you.